The big players like the Barretts of the world, they've got like 3 billion in cash and they don't have to worry about this. But for us SME developers, and we're growing, we do need equity.
We have raised the best part of £14 million in equity over the last 6-7 years.
I used to find it so difficult to say, how much money do you think you're willing to do on the first project? I used to find that difficult. Ben, I don't know if you're the same.
Raising investment. So we have raised the best part of £14 million in equity over the last 6-7 years. About, what was the last count? About 40 million in debt.
It's actually just under 16 million now, and 48 million in debt. I read a hilarious Instagram profile earlier today of another property person that had raised 2 million in private debt but only done 1.1 million in GDV. I was like, how does that work?
Part of what we want to touch on here is we've kind of been doing this a lot over the last 6-7 years. We've raised a lot of money through equity partnerships and also the debt senior provision. So Jack certainly has got a huge amount of experience in going through that process, and it's taken 70-80 calls to actually raise funding for some of our recent projects. So we've learned a lot through that process. We've spoken to a lot of people. We've had a lot of coffee, and Jack was just going to talk through some of the conversations we had in our boardroom group about how we've done that and how people should look to raise cash.
Yeah, so I mean, we just keep it simple. It's a really difficult thing to try and teach and implement into your own business. It's kind of, you will find your own process. Raising capital that's not institutional, so with high net worth and ultra high net worth, is fundamentally to rely on your own network that you've got to build and grow, and then rely on their network as well as yours. And you can start with equity brokers and get introductions, but in reality, the amount of brokers that I've spoken to that go, yeah, we do the full capital stack, we can get you an investor. It sounds great, but they don't really introduce you to, Joe Bloggs that's got 4 million in the bank account and wants to chuck it your way. The golden goose of our life as property developers is finding the sites and funding the equity. The big players like the Barretts of the world, they've got like 3 billion in cash and they don't have to worry about this. But for us SME developers, and we're growing, we do need equity. I mentioned we're on 5 development sites at the moment. We can no way fund that ourselves at this moment. We're 6 years young as a business. The deals that we were finishing 3 years ago just about cover the soft costs from the profit proceeds that we push forward. So we're fundamental for our investors to get a return on their capital, and they're fundamental for our business growth. And we built this process out and tweaked it and refined it. And actually, some of our boardroom are amazed that the sophistication of raising £1-2 million worth of capital, we still keep the same process that we have since the day we started. And what we do is very simple. We have an Excel spreadsheet, which is obviously very confidential, so it's hidden away where no one can find it. And every time we meet anyone that's expressed an interest in investing in capital, which, believe it or not, you have to be comfortable to talk about that to even drive any of those conversations. It's not as simple as you walk into a business meeting and you go, have you got money? Do you want to invest in deals? You can say our business is a SME property development business. We have a lot of things in-house, such as the architectural business, the measure to aim business. We're very good on delivery and we've won awards doing that. So, and we partner with investors to give them a return on their capital on our projects. That alone might get them thinking, but you put their name down and you follow up with them. Every person that has ever expressed any element of investment or working with us from an investment perspective, name goes on this list. Then we make sure that it's another call or a coffee face-to-face meeting. We want to make sure that every single person on this list has been met for a face-to-face with myself and Ben. And what we do is we fill out in their details, their contact info, their email address, their phone number, the size of investment that they're likely to be talking about. I used to find it so difficult to say, how much money do you think you're willing to do on the first project? I used to find that difficult. Ben, I don't know if you're the same. When we were back in the early days, saying to an investor, how much do you think you would have available to invest, just felt so much like a faux pas to me. Like, you didn't talk about how much money you had saved in the bank account. You just kept that stuff to yourself. I think that's us being British.